Robin here, and this video is going to be my item guide for set 4.5. Basically, in this video, I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be going over every champion and most of the items that's good on the champion. Some champs, I'm going to assume that it is going to be your chosen, so you're going to be stacking items on it. It's going to be your carry. But some champs usually is not your carry. It might be like your secondary carry, or it might be an utility champion. You won't be stacking like 3 items on it, but I'll just go over the items that are good for every champion, and hopefully this video will help you itemize those champs when you get the opportunity. This guide is probably going to be more for beginners because a lot of the items I'm going to mention is going to be pretty a lot of high elo players will already know, but hopefully this guide will help you guys out in some way. So first off, we have Brand. Best in slot items for Brand is you want to have Gunblade for sure, so that it can heal everything up. You want to have a damage item, whether it be Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadons. And then the last item could be more damage like Rabadons, or you can also have GA. Hodge is also decent. People say like, oh, isn't Luden's good? Comparing like Luden's Nami from last set. But Luden's Brand isn't actually that good because it doesn't have that much AP scaling. And it would only be good probably stage 2. So I usually would not slam the Ludens if I have Ludens, and I would save the components for other items like Jeweled Gauntlet, Hodge, stuff like that. Diana is a very flexible champion. You know, best in slot is usually going to be IE, Runons plus Titans, something like this. But honestly, so many items can work on her. You can stack her with defensive items like D-Claw, Bramble, Hodge is good. Gunblade is good. You can even have Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadons. Diana is just so flexible. You can stack tank items on her, AP items, and AD items. Elise. So whenever you have Elise, you're usually not stacking Elise. But you know, if you do have the chosen Elise and she's your only tank, you're mostly going to be stacking tank items on her. So items such as Warmogs, Sunfire Cape, Bramble are all pretty good. D-Claw is good. And Gargoyle Stoneplate is also good. For FIORA usually is better with defensive items. So items such as the items I will be slamming on FIORA most of the time is going to be either Warmogs, D-Claw, Bramble, or maybe Gargoyle Stoneplate. Hodge is also very good on FIORA. GA is pretty good. Sunfire Cape is pretty good. You can also slam offensive items on her, such as Deathblade, Runons, and IE. She can be an item holder for Talon, an item holder for Olaf or Tryndamere, but usually FIORA benefits more from tank items just because of how her kit works. So Garen, usually when you're playing, if you have a chosen Garen, he's also very flexible with items. I would say any AP or tank item is good on him, just no AD items. So then I find myself slamming Morello is really good on him early game, and a Hodge is also very good on Garen. Tank items such as D-Claw, Warmogs, Sunfire Cape is also very good on Garen. Ionic Spark is also good, and then AP items like Rabadons and Jeweled Gauntlet are also very good. MAOKAI, probably going to be same as Garen, so any AP item or any tank item is good on him. So you know, Sunfire Cape, Morello, D-Claw, Hodge, Rabadons, Jeweled Gauntlet. So for NASUS, so if you're playing NASUS reroll, the items you do on NASUS is going to be Jeweled Gauntlet, Titans, and D-Claw. But if you're just playing NASUS as a chosen in early mid game, the items it holds is similar to Garen and MAOKAI, so AP or any tank items will work. For NIDALEE, best items on NIDALEE is going to be, if you're playing NIDALEE reroll, it's going to be Shojin, Jeweled Gauntlet, +1. The +1 can either be Hodge, it could be Rabadons, you know, it could be a defensive item such as QSS or GA. But if you're playing NIDALEE just as for early mid game, you're probably not going to slam Shojin. So items I typically am slamming are either any AP or AD items. So it can hold IE, it could hold Last Whisper, it could hold Runons, it could hold Rabadons, it could hold Jeweled Gauntlet, it could hold Hodge. NIDALEE can also hold GA and also hold Guinsoo's. Basically any AP or AD items will be good on NIDALEE. Do not stack tank items on NIDALEE. Okay, so for Tahm Kench, you're probably only going to be stacking tank items on him. AP items and AD items will probably not go on him. So items such as D-Claw, Bramble, Sunfire Cape, and Gargoyles are all pretty good on Tahm Kench early mid game. AP items can be good on him, such as Rabadons. Rabadons actually increases the amount of damage it blocks by a lot, so it is good on Tahm Kench. But usually with Rabadons, I'd rather slam it on a carry rather than Tahm Kench. Tristana is one of the best units in the game right now. Just because it's so flexible with its items. It can hold AD items and it can hold AP items really well. It's basically like a better version of NIDALEE in my opinion. So a lot of early game items I'll be slamming on Tristana will probably be like Last Whisper, you know, Runons, maybe even an IE, you know, GA works, Guinsoo's works, Morello works. Items, AP items such as Jeweled Gauntlet, Rabadons are also very good on Tristana. If you're playing Tristana reroll, the items that you do want on Tristana is going to be Last Whisper, QSS, and the last item can be Flex. Usually it's going to be Hodge, but it can also be Runons, it could also be IE, etc. But the core is going to be QSS and Last Whisper. So for TF, if you're playing reroll TF carry, the items you do want on TF are going to be Gunblade, a spell vamp item, and then a damage item like Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadons. And then the last item is pretty flexible. You can have Hodge, you can have IE for more damage, you can have Rabadons for more damage, you can have defensive item like QSS or GA. They're all pretty good, but the core is going to be Gunblade plus Jeweled Gauntlet usually. If you're playing TF as a early game carry, early mid game, basically any AP items will work. Even AD items are actually pretty decent on Twisted Fate. So most of the time I'm going to be slamming Hodge, you know, Jeweled Gauntlet, Rabadons. A lot of times I'll have like GA and Guinsoo's for it to hold items for Kale. Sometimes I will even have, you know, RFC, Last Whisper, just to hold items for Slayers. It's not even that bad. For Wukong, so Wukong can basically use any tank items or any AD items. If you're playing Wukong reroll carry, the items you do want are, I think, in my opinion, are going to be Deathblade, Runons, +1. The +1 can either be RFC, it could be Guinsoo's, or it could be GA. But the core is going to be Deathblade and Runons. You want to be stacked. Wukong's going to be a carry, so you want to be stacking AD items on it. If you're playing Wukong reroll, if you stack all tank items on Wukong, you're going to fall off very hard. If you're playing Wukong as an early mid game carry, items will be the same as the reroll version of AD items, but you can also stack tank items on Wukong. So items such as Sunfire, Warmogs, and Declaw are all pretty good. So you do not want to stack any AP items on Wukong because Wukong has absolutely no AP scaling. His ability is an auto attack. So if you put like Morello or Rabadons on Wukong, it actually doesn't really do that much. Yasuo, if you're playing Yasuo reroll, best in slot items in my opinion is going to be IE, Last Whisper, and QSS. The QSS can be replaced with GA, and you know, it's actually very flexible. This is going to be best in slot in my opinion, but other items that work are going to be, you know, Deathblade, Runons, Titans. If you're playing Yasuo as an early mid-game carry, it can also, in addition to the AD items, it can also hold tank items. So, such as Warmogs, Yasuo is pretty good. Sunfire Cape Yasuo is pretty good. And Declaw Yasuo is also pretty good. For Annie, any tank or AP item is good on Annie. Usually, you do want to stack tank items on Annie. So, Annie items such as Titans, Declaw, and QSS is very good. QSS is especially good late game, so then you won't get Lee Sin kicked off the map. Besides the tank items, other tank items are Bramble, Gargoyle, and Sunfire. They all work. Besides the tank items, AP items are also very good on Annie because Annie's skill, her shield scales really well with AP. So items such as Rabadons and Jeweled Gauntlet and, you know, Gunblade are also very good on Annie. Braum is mostly going to be your tank, so any tank item is very good on Braum. Items such as Declaw, Sunfire, Bramble, Gargoyle, Warmogs, etc. I would not slam AP or AD items on Braum. It purely tank. Janna is usually not going to be your carry or anything. It's usually just going to be your utility. So you probably won't be stacking much items on Janna, but if you are forced to stack items on Janna, usually you're putting like a blue buff on Janna or a Shojin. And then a lot of times you'll be stacking aura items on Janna, such as Chalice or Zeke's in the early mid game. Rabadon's is also very good on Janna. It increases her shield. Jarvan, if you're playing if Jarvan is your chosen and you have a 3-star Jarvan is your carry, you're going to want to stack AP items on Jarvan, because Jarvan can actually one-shot the entire backline. So items such as Rabadon's, Jeweled Gauntlet, and like Hodge are very good. Usually it's also going to be a tank, so stacking tank items is also good. Declaw, Bramble, you know, Gargoyle, Sunfire Cape, etc. If you're playing Jarvan just as an early mid-game carry, items such as Sunfire Cape and Morello are pretty good. The anti-heal items are pretty good because he spreads around the map pretty fast. But usually I'm not really usually you will rarely itemize Jarvan. Jax, I think Jax benefits from tank items the most. So Jax will be very, very good with tank items such as Sunfire Cape, Declaw, Warmogs, stuff like that. Jax can also be an early game holder for Morello. He actually spreads the Morello like decently. He has a little bit of AoE damage. But Jax can also carry AD items. Deathblade, Runons, Guinsoo's, you know, GA. Jax is very, very similar to how you itemize Fiora. Lulu. So Lulu, you'll rarely be itemizing Lulu, but usually you'll be putting aura items on Lulu, such as Infinite Chalices, Zeeks, stuff like that. If you have a 3-star Lulu, or if you have like additional items, you can put the Shojin on Lulu so it can cast faster. But usually you're not itemizing for Lulu. You can put a Guinsoo's on her, or Shojin Guinsoo's on her, and then she'll cast like infinite times. The Rabadon's on her is also pretty good. It increases her shield amount, but usually you're saving the AP items for your ASO anyways. Nautilus. So Nautilus, you'll usually be itemizing him only if you're playing Fabled. And if you're playing Fabled, I think best in slot items are going to be Titans and tank items. So Declaw and like Bramble, something like this. Titans actually gives it damage. He actually does a ton of damage with this stun. So Titans is very good on him. Another item that's decent on him is probably Gunblade. He can actually survive for a very, very long time if he has Gunblade and the Fabled trait. He's actually very, very flexible with his items. You know, you can even have Static Shiv on him to help lower people's magic resistance. You can have Ionic Spark on him, and I would just prevent putting AP items would also be good on him, but usually you're just stacking tank items on Nautilus. Pyke. For Pyke, Pyke is rarely going to be your carry. Usually he's going to be your secondary carry or like just a utility bot. But you'll often find you'll be stacking like Sunfire Cape or Morello is good on Pyke. Similar to Jarvan, it spreads the anti-heal pretty good, pretty well. If Pyke is your chosen and you want to itemize it, you know, you can put tank items as well, such as Warmogs, Gargoyles. You can even put damage items such as IE since it is an assassin. And have it item hold for late game carries. Rakan, very similar to Jarvan and Pyke. Really good holder for Sunfire Cape. Morello does not work on Rakan, keep in mind. But usually you're just stacking Rakan with Sunfire Cape and then 2 other tank items. So such as another item that's actually decent on Rakan is Frozen Heart. Same with Pyke and Jarvan. Frozen Heart is actually pretty decent on these units because they travel pretty far. RFC is also good on Rakan because with RFC on Rakan will actually ult all the way, the whole map, all the way to the backline. So he'll stun like his stun range will be farther. Teemo, basically any AP item will be good on Teemo. Rabadon's, Jeweled Gauntlet, Hodge, Guinsoo's, Ludens, etc. A lot of times you are just stacking Teemo with aura items, so a lot of times it'll just be holding the chalices and it'll just be holding the Zeeks. For Vi, most of the time, Vi is just going to be your early mid-game, you know, synergy bot. If you're playing Vi chosen as your carry, so you do want to be stacking the AP items on her, such as Jeweled Gauntlet, IE. It can actually one-shot a lot of people. You can put the RFC on her, so she'll punch from far away. You can put the Gunblade on her, so she'll heal up everything she punches. But usually, if you're just playing her as a early mid-game, you just want to stack you probably would want to stack either any AP items or tank items on her. Vladimir, also very similar to Vi, any AP or tank items will work on Vladimir. I think I would prefer tank items because Vladimir with tank items can actually stay alive for a very long time. So if you have a Vladimir with Declaw, Sunfire Cape, and you know, and Gargoyles, it'll actually have a lot of value. Zed, so Zed, usually if you're playing Zed, you're playing Zed carry. Best in slot Zed is going to be RFC is mandatory. Then the other two items are pretty flexible. I think best in slot is going to be, in this meta, is going to be Guinsoo's plus QSS. I think Guinsoo's is better than Runon's right now because for how fast it ramps up with Spirit, it's really good. You can replace the Guinsoo's with Runon's, and then you can replace the QSS with GA. So basically, it's RFC's core, and then one more attack speed item, and then a defensive item. AKALI, I think AKALI's best in slot is going to be IE, blue buff, and RFC. So I think RFC is core, and then blue buff can be replaced with GA, and IE can replace with another damage item like Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadon's. But I think this is actually best in slot. AKALI, you actually kill so many people super fast. So Darius, if you're playing Darius carry, I think best in slot is going to be 1 AP damage item. So whether it be Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadon's. The next one, you do want to have the GA. And after that, you want to have a healing item. So whether it be Gunblade or Hodge. Aurelia, usually when you play Aurelia, you're never itemizing Aurelia. But sometimes, you know, if you have the Aurelia chosen for early mid game, you could itemize her. What I would put on her is probably tank items. The only AP item I would put on Aurelia is probably Morello. Aurelia can hold items for Morgana because her cast is actually AoE. So Aurelia is a pretty good Morello holder until you find Morgana. Kalista. Kalista is a very strong champion right now. In my opinion, her best in slot, Runon's is very good on Kalista. And then her best in slot, in my opinion, is going to be Rapid Fire Cannon and an AP item like Rabadon's. Kalista actually scales very well with AP items. So if you have Rabadon's, you actually kill them super quick. Kalista will rend them really fast. If you're playing Kalista carry though, you probably need a defensive item. So I would probably take out Rabadon's for either GA or QSS. But to be honest, with how fast Rabadon kills people, you can actually just probably get away with just Rabadon's. Katarina. Best in slot Katarina is going to be Gunblade, Titans, and QSS in my opinion, but it is kind of flexible. I think QSS is very core late game, especially if you want to play Katarina carry, but the other items are pretty flexible. You can have IE, you know, Jeweled Gauntlet is okay. You could have Hodge is also pretty good. Rabadon's also works, but you do want the best in slot is going to be Gunblade and Titans and Q. Kennen, for Kennen, you do want to have the GA and Morello. This is probably core. The last item can be anything such as more damage with Rabadon's or Jeweled Gauntlet, or you can have lower their MR with Ionic Spark. It's also very popular. But the thing is, a lot of people get baited by just, oh, I need GA or I need Morello. I've won games where I had, instead of GA, you can replace it with other defensive items such as D-Claw or Bramble or even Vanguard Spat. And then if you don't have Morello, you just have to probably use a AP item such as Rabadon's or Jeweled Gauntlet. It still works. Don't tunnel too hard on GA Morello. Kindred's pretty flexible. If you're playing Kindred carry though, you probably want to have AP or tier items on her. So items such as blue buff and Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet is pretty good. RFC is also, you can replace one AP item with RFC. RFC is also very good because it allows Kindred to just kill everyone from the back. But if you are playing Kindred just as in a KO comp, usually it's going to be holding all the aura items such as Chalice and Zeke's. And if you're playing her as just like an early mid game carry, any items will work on her. Any 80 items will also work on her, such as Guinsoo's, Last Whisper is decent. IE, stuff like that. It also works on Kindred. She's very flexible. NEEKO. So for NEEKO, you want to have a Gunblade, you want to have Spell Vamp, you want to have an AP item such as Rabadon's or Jeweled Gauntlet. They both work. And then the last item, you do want to have a defensive item such as Vanguard Spat or GA. Usually you can replace the Gunblade with Hodge, but usually just keep in mind it's going to be a Spell Vamp item, a damage item, and a defensive item. NUNU. If you're playing NUNU as carry, I think best in slot is going to be D-Claw for sure. Gunblade, so you can heal everything up after you eat people. And then the last item is probably going to be Bramble. You can also replace Bramble with Warmogs, but I think core is going to be D-Claw and Gunblade. SHYVANA. If you're playing SHYVANA carry, Runon's is absolutely crucial on SHYVANA. But the other two items are pretty flexible. Items such as Deathblade is pretty good. QSS is good for late game. D-Claw is good just as a defensive item. IE is good for more damage. SHYVANA can also hold AP items because SHYVANA does some burn damage. So items such as Jeweled Gauntlet and Rabadon's is pretty good. but I think best in slot is going to be Runons, Hodge, and QSS. QSS for the late game, and then Hodge so that you'll transform faster. Sivir, if you're playing Sivir carry, the core items are going to be QSS for sure, and Last Whisper. The last item is pretty flexible, but usually you do want to have another attack speed item on Sivir. I think best in slot is going to be RFC, so she can stay in the back and just kill everyone. But other items that work is also like Runons, IE, and Guinsus all work. Veigar, very similar to set 4. Best in slot is going to be blue buff, Gunblade, and the last item is pretty flexible. I like to have Hodge, so he can cast as insta cast, it'll cast faster. Other items that work is Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet. A defense items such as GA or D-Claw are also very good. Yuumi, usually you're not really stacking Yuumi, but blue buff, it's very similar to Janna. Blue buff is good on Yuumi, and then AP items such as Rabadon's to give more healing and attack speed. Aatrox, so Aatrox is very good right now. He can hold any, usually you are stacking tank items on Aatrox, but Aatrox can actually also be your secondary carry by holding AP items. So I like to usually what's on my Aatrox is probably like a D-Claw, maybe like a Sunfire Cape, or like a Gargoyles or something. But sometimes I see myself slamming like Jeweled Gauntlet, Rabadons, or Gunblade. They're also pretty good. So any tank or AP item is good on Aatrox. Aurelion Sol. So Aurelion Sol, best in slot items is going to be a Spell Vamp. It's very similar to NIDALEE. So a Spell Vamp item, either Gunblade or Hodge. And then an AP item, either Rabadon's or Jeweled Gauntlet. And then absolutely GA is core. GA allows Aurelion Sol to cast, and he won't just die without casting. Because when ASO casts once, you will win the fight already. Cho'Gath, usually you're not itemizing Cho'Gath, but basically any tank items is good on Cho'Gath. I would not put AP items on Cho'Gath because Cho'Gath doesn't have any AP scaling. So items such as D-Claw, Warmogs, Bramble, Gargoyle, Sunfire Cape are pretty good on Cho'Gath. So Kayle, it's going to be one. So Kayle best in slot is going to be one defensive item, either it's GA or QSS, and then the next item is going to be an AP item, Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadon's, and then the last item will be an attack speed item, maybe Guinsus. I would consider RFC as a defensive item, so I would put RFC in the same category as GA and QSS, and then the next two items are pretty flexible. You can have double AP Rabadon's and Jeweled Gauntlet. You can have Guinsus and RFC full attack speed, stuff like that. So it's pretty flexible. Morgana, when you're playing Morgana, I think the only core item is going to be Morello, and then the other two items from playing Morgana a lot, I think Morgana actually benefits more from defensive items more than AP items. So usually I like to slam the D-Claw on her, D-Claw Bramble, something like this with Siphoner. It'll heal up a lot. Items such as Titans is also pretty good because she can stack up Titans pretty fast. I also like to put Hodge on Morgana because if you roll healing, you actually heal so much. Olaf. So for Olaf, I think the best in slot Olaf right now is GA is mandatory, and then the next two items are pretty flexible. Any AD item will work. Usually I find myself slamming Deathblade and Runons, but it's also very flexible. You can replace Deathblade with IE or Last Whisper or Giant Slayer. Very flexible. You can also have RFC, something like this. But I think the only core item is going to be GA. Sejuani. When you're playing Sejuani, most of the time you're going to be stacking tank items on her. A lot of times you will be putting the Morello on Sejuani because Sejuani is a very good Morello user. I would not stack any AP items on Sejuani because she does not have a good AP scaling. Shen, you're just putting any defensive items on Shen. I would not put any AD or AP items on Shen. So most of the time it's going to be like holding Sunfire Cape, D-Claw, whatever. Talon, best in slot Talon in my opinion is going to be IE, Last Whisper, and GA. But Talon is also very flexible. You can have Deathblade, Runons, Last Whisper, BT, Hodge, Giant Slayer, and just basically any AD item is good on him. GA is very good on Talon, but it's not mandatory. Like you can get away with QSS, you can get away with D-Claw. You can also go like full glass cannon Talon with like triple offensive item is also good. Tryndamere, I think best in slot is going to be same thing as Talon. It's going to be IE, Last Whisper plus GA. But then it's also flexible. It's also very flexible like Talon. You can have full AD items. Tryndamere is very flexible. You can even have defensive items on Tryndamere such as D-Claw and like Warmogs or something. Tryndamere, you can also have AP items because it scales pretty well with AP. So items such as Jeweled Gauntlet and Rabadons are also pretty good on Tryndamere. Xayah, best in slot Xayah in my opinion is going to be Hodge, as many Hodges as you can, but usually it's going to be double Hodge plus GA. Usually you're not going to be getting double Hodge, so usually it's just GA Hodge plus 1. Xayah is very flexible because she can use AP and AD items, so items such as Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet are all pretty good. Deathblade, Last Whisper, BT, they're all pretty good. Defensive items is also very good on Xayah if you have the Hodge, because you heal up. If you roll healing, you will heal up with Hodge. So items such as Warmogs and Declaw are also pretty good on Xayah. Azir, usually when you play Azir, you're not itemizing Azir, but in the late game, if you do have some items, Shojin is pretty good on Azir. Guinsoo's is pretty good on Azir for it to cast faster, and but usually you're not going to be putting any items on Azir. Lee Sin, best in slot in my opinion is absolutely blue buff. Blue buff is actually insane on Lee Sin, and then the other two items are pretty flexible. I like to put tank items on Lee Sin, so items like Declaw and Warmogs are very good. But you just need the blue buff, and you can stack pretty much anything. I would not stack. I would just stack tank items on Lee Sin, but I would not stack AD items or AP items. Gunblade is also pretty good on Lee Sin because Lee Sin actually heals when he kicks. GA is also very good. Ornn is a tank, so you just be stacking any tank items on Ornn. Very similar to Sejuani. No AP items and no AD items. Samira, for Samira, in my opinion, I think best in slot is going to be GA, Last Whisper, IE. This is going to be best in slot. Very similar to Tryndamere. I also like RFC on Samira because it allows you to backline Samira without her walking forward. I think GA is just mandatory, so you'll guarantee that she casts. But the other two are pretty flexible. Any AD items will work. Titans is also very good on Samira. And then items such as Jeweled Gauntlet or Hodge are also pretty decent. Set. When you're playing Set, you want to slam AP items on Set. So items such as Rabadon's Jeweled Gauntlet and like Hodge is probably going to be best in slot. Titans, stuff like that. A lot of times you don't have the luxury of getting AP items on Set. So slamming tank items on Set is also very good. Such as, you know, Declaw, Sunfire Cape, stuff like that. But Set benefits the most from AP items because he'll actually destroy the whole team. Swain, I think best in slot is going to be tank items. So you want items such as Declaw, Bramble, and like Warmogs or QSS or something. But Swain is also very good with AP items such as Jeweled Gauntlet and Rabadons. Very similar to Morgana. Mage Cap is absolutely best in slot on Swain. But that's only if you can get Mage Cap. Yone. For Yone, I think best in slot for Yone is going to be a mixture of tank and AP items. So items such as Warmogs plus a Rabadons and then plus like a Declaw will probably be best in slot. I don't think Yone is good with blue buff anymore because Yone mana is reduced to 10 when it's trying to kill people. So blue buff, it doesn't get that much value from blue buff. Last but not least, we have Zilean. Zilean, usually you're not itemizing Zilean, but late game you do want to put like tier items on him so it'll cast faster. So items such as blue buff and Shojin are pretty good. GA is also good on Zilean to ensure that he casts. And that's it for my item guide for set 4.5. To be honest, even though I mentioned like the best in slot or the items I'm usually slamming on these champions, a lot of items can work on these champions, and try to be flexible with your item slamming. But you can use this guide as like a little template for what to slam.